the transition from sergeant to lieutenant and lieutenant to captain, those civil service exams, the one thing that it doesn't take into account and encompass is your leadership ability, right? So, and we all say this all the time. You had a lucky Saturday, right? It's like, you have these bosses that are out there that couldn't find their way out of a paper bag, and what kind of leadership quality did I have? But we give these civil service exams, and there's no quantitative or qualitative analysis that we do on these exams for promotion to be able to judge or qualify what leadership capabilities you're going to have once you get promoted. And the job fails us right from the outset about not doing any leadership development. And I'm sure during the course of this podcast, we'll talk more about that, but it's a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that to a point. I think the civil service exam to become a supervisor is the only fair way to do it. I think, they got away from the interviews of the past because, they're so subjective in the scoring. So this civil service exam is the way to go. I think that there's been issues in the past, like when I took the sergeant's exam, right? And it was the top 1,750 plus ties that would make the list. So you had over 1,800 people that would make the test. But it wasn't a pass-fail. It wasn't like you made 70 and you passed. It would be, how far down the list do we have to go of the thousands of people that would take the exam to get 1,750? And for my exam, it was 81. You had to have an 81 or better to pass the sergeant's test. Now, because they kept that model up until one test, they had to go down to like 51. So there were sergeants that got promoted that had a 51 on the exam, because once DCAS puts out the notice of exam that was just up on the board, they're bound by law that's how they have to promote off of it. And so there were people that actually got promoted to sergeant with 50s and in the 50s and 60s. So their base knowledge was lacking, let alone we'll get into the leadership and the lack of leadership training that I think we all agree that the job has.
Just the some of the other agencies, when they have sergeant's exams, they often put leadership books in their necessary reading material that they can be tested on. And I know that there's been some PMI projects, that's the Police Management Institute projects within the department. All of us are PMI alumni, that they actually did studies that some of those books of leadership and things like that should be in the promotional exams. But the city never went to that. And I don't understand that, because, and I'll personally go back as far as this, that those leadership courses should be taught in the police academy, because keeping the officers together, unity, working as a team, team building, moving forward, those are all things that we should do. And I know that the department will be like, oh, it's corruption, guys get too close and they work together, it's corruption. But if you don't build a leader from the beginning, it's hard to build them up later on. We all get into our certain complacencies and we do the same thing all the time, and then to break out of that, it's a little tough. So that leadership should definitely be taught in the police academy. And I firmly believe that there's really good leadership books, whether it's some books from the Marine Corps, military books. All of those things you need to build on that and have those books available and make them part of the actual test. I mean, this graphic is a prime example, right? A boss, boss drives, depends on authority, inspires fear, says I did this and I did that, places the blame. He knows how it's done. He uses people, and Mike Furr from this morning could tell you exactly about that. Takes credit, but a good leader, they coach, right? They push forward. They work on goodwill. They always say we. They fix things that are broken, and they show how it's done. They don't make people do it. and they develop people, right? That was one of the big things we talked about earlier today. How do we develop people? You got to push people forward. And a big thing right there is give credit. Don't take the credit. You got to give the credit. That's what makes people move. And that's what, when we say we can't promote everybody, which we can't, right? We can't make everybody a detective. We can't move everybody up. But that positive reinforcement, that promoting people, getting them to where they are and understanding. Like I guarantee if Mike from this morning, if he was told that he did a good job and he was shown that, hey, we really appreciate you, what you do, as a good leader should have done, I bet you he would have stayed longer.
You've just watched a clip from our latest live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.